In August 2019, sitting in the Oval Office of the White House, American President Donald Trump expressed a strange desire to his advisors. He said, "I want to buy Greenland." Instantly, the news spread like wildfire across the world. Laughter erupted on social media. Many thought it might be another one of Trump's jokes. But when Denmark's Prime Minister Mette Frederiksen dismissed the matter as absurd, Trump got angry and canceled his trip to Denmark altogether. And now, in 2026, Trump is threatening that if he doesn't get Greenland the easy way, he will take the hard path. Just imagine, a massive island of 2.1 million square kilometers. Can it really be bought and sold like a real estate deal? Although Greenland is geographically part of North America, this ice-covered island is claimed by a tiny European country 3,000 kilometers away, Denmark. Where is Denmark and where is Greenland? In terms of area, Greenland is 50 times larger than Denmark. Yet due to a strange historical equation, this vast territory remains in the pocket of Little Denmark. How did this huge island in North America come under the control of a small European country? We will try to find the answer to this question from the very beginning in today's episode. The story began 1,000 years ago through the hands of an exiled Viking. His name was Eric the Red. Eric, a Norwegian Viking, was a man of very hot temper. He was exiled from Iceland for murder. In 982 AD, he set sail across the Atlantic Ocean into the unknown West with his family and some followers. After a long sea voyage, he reached a land that was rugged, covered in ice, and uninhabitable. But he was cunning. He knew that to establish a settlement here, he would need to bring more people from Iceland. But no one would want to come if they heard the name Land of Ice. So he devised a clever trick. Even though the entire island was covered in ice, he named it Greenland, or Greenland. Historians call this history's first marketing scam. Lured by this false promise, several hundred Vikings set sail with him to this new land in about 25 ships. However, only 14 ships managed to reach their destination. They settled on the southern coast of Greenland. These Norsemen, or Vikings, survived there for about 500 years. They traded with Europe, dealing in seal skins, walrus tusks, and polar bear hides. The Vatican Church even sent bishops to them. But around the 1500s, these Vikings suddenly disappeared from Greenland. What happened to them? Researchers believe they were wiped out due to a combination of the Little Ice Age that suddenly began worldwide and conflicts with the local Inuit indigenous people. Their connection with Europe was completely severed. For nearly 300 years, Greenland remained isolated and lonely behind the scenes of the world stage. Europeans had forgotten they ever had a settlement there. Almost 300 years after the Vikings disappeared, Europe's attention turned to Greenland again in 1721. This time, the stage was set for a Danish-Norwegian missionary named Hans Egede. At that time, Denmark and Norway were a united kingdom, or the Denmark-Norway Union. King Frederick IV of Copenhagen gave Hans Egede permission to go to Greenland. Their belief was that the Vikings, who had gone there hundreds of years ago, might still be alive and might still be Catholic. The goal of this expedition was to convert them to Protestant Christianity. But upon reaching Greenland, Hans Egede was astonished. He found no Vikings. Instead, he found the local Inuit population. Even though the Vikings were gone, the Danish king claimed that since the Vikings were once our ancestors, this island belongs to us. Thus, in 1721, Denmark's colonial rule over Greenland began anew. But the real turning point in the story came in 1814. In the Napoleonic Wars, Denmark was on Napoleon's side, the losing side. Sweden, on the other hand, was on the winning side. After the war, the historic Treaty of Kiel was signed. This treaty forced defeated Denmark to hand over Norway to Sweden. But here, Danish diplomats played an outstanding move. They explicitly stated in the treaty that while Norway would be given to Sweden, all Denmark's overseas colonies would remain under Danish control. And since Greenland was considered a colony, it stayed with Denmark. Norway, which had been part of the Denmark-Norway Union for centuries, was separated, but the vast territory of Greenland across the ocean remained attached to tiny Denmark. This was how the foundation of the modern Denmark-Greenland relationship was laid. The year 1940, World War II had begun. Hitler's Nazi forces occupied Denmark within just a few hours. The Danish king and government in Copenhagen effectively became puppets of the Nazis. Meanwhile, across the Atlantic in Washington, Denmark's ambassador was Henrik Kaufmann. He knew that after occupying Denmark, Hitler's attention would now turn to Greenland, because from Greenland it would be very easy to launch bomber planes toward America and Canada. Henrik Kaufmann made a daring decision. He disobeyed the orders of his own government, the German-controlled Danish government. He declared himself the representative of free Denmark and directly signed a treaty with America. In that 1941 treaty, he told America, "You come to Greenland, establish bases, and protect this island from the Nazis." America was waiting for just such an opportunity. They quickly sent their troops to Greenland and built huge air bases. The most famous among them was Thule Air Base. After the war, Denmark became independent again, but America did not want to leave Greenland, because by then a new war had begun, the Cold War. For monitoring the Soviet Union, Greenland was America's trump card. In 1946, then-President Harry Truman proposed to Denmark, "You're not doing anything with this icy island. Sell Greenland to us for $100 million. At that time, $100 million was a huge sum. But Denmark refused the offer. They had realized that Greenland was not just a pile of ice, it was the only key to maintaining their importance in world politics. It was because of Greenland that little Denmark got a seat at the table with world leaders. After World War II, the wind of decolonization was blowing worldwide, and the United Nations began to pressure Denmark to grant Greenland independence or give them equal rights. In 1953, Denmark changed its constitution, declaring Greenland not as a colony but as an amt or district of Denmark. This meant the Inuit of Greenland overnight became Danish citizens and got the opportunity to send representatives to Denmark's parliament. But the people of Greenland were not satisfied with this. They had their own language, culture, and way of life, completely different from Denmark's. The residents of Nuuk, Greenland's capital, couldn't accept their fate being decided from Copenhagen 3,500 kilometers away. After a long movement, Greenland was granted home rule or self-government in 1979, and finally self-rule or autonomy in 2009. Currently, Greenland's situation is somewhat like this. They have their own parliament, police, and can make independent decisions on all internal matters, but their foreign policy, defense, and monetary policy are controlled by Denmark. However, in return, Denmark has to pay a hefty price. Every year, the Danish government gives Greenland a subsidy or block grant of about $600 million. More than half of Greenland's total budget comes from this pocket money from Denmark. Analysts believe Denmark has held on to Greenland despite incurring huge financial losses solely to project itself as an Arctic superpower. Without Greenland, Denmark is just an ordinary country in Northern Europe, but with Greenland, Denmark has secured a strong chair in important places like the Arctic Council. Now, the biggest question is, what do the people of Greenland want? Greenland's current prime minister and the majority of the people dream of full independence. They want to take down the Danish flag and emerge as a fully independent nation. The 2009 Self-Rule Act also provides that opportunity. Greenland can declare independence through a referendum if it wishes, but the problem is the economy. If Greenland becomes independent today, the $100 million annual subsidy from Denmark will stop tomorrow. Greenland's own economy primarily relies on fishing, which is insufficient to run a modern state. To gain independence, Greenland would have to turn to mining its mineral resources, and here lies a difficult paradox or dilemma.
Mining would harm the environment. The traditional lifestyle of the Inuit would be disrupted, which they do not want. But without mining, they would have to remain slaves to Denmark's money. On the other hand, if Greenland becomes independent, can they defend themselves, or will they fall into the clutches of a superpower like Russia or China? Many believe that if Greenland becomes independent, it will actually become an unofficial colony of America, because neither NATO nor America will ever leave Greenland undefended. For Denmark, Greenland is a heavy ornament. Wearing it is burdensome, but taking it off means losing prestige. And for America, Greenland is the world's largest unsinkable aircraft carrier. In this geopolitical chess game, Greenland is now an important piece. As the ice melts, the superpowers' struggle surrounding this island is heating up.
The island that Hans Egede obtained neglectfully in 1721 has become one of the world's most coveted territories in the 21st century. Greenland, being part of Denmark, might be a historical accident, but holding on to it is now a question of existence for Denmark. And in that existential battle, Trump's buy-sell proposal is just the beginning of a new chapter. Whether the color of Greenland's map will change in the future, only time will tell. However, one thing is certain. Beneath the white ice of the North Pole lies the hottest issue of tomorrow's world politics.